Our headlines for you today: stay at home. That's the message across the UK as England and Scotland go back into lockdown.
Our hospitals are under more pressure from Covid than at any time since the start of the pandemic. With most of the country already under extreme measures, it's clear that we need to do more.
All schools will close for most pupils just a day after the Prime Minister urged parents of primary children to send them back to the classroom.
Boris Johnson says he aims to have the most vulnerable in England vaccinated by the middle of February.
With every jab that goes into our arms, we are tilting the odds against Covid and in favour of the British people.
Give us more support or more companies will collapse and more jobs will go. Unions and business groups call for urgent extra lockdown help from governments in England and Scotland.
Good morning. Elite sport in England can continue, but golf courses, tennis courts and all indoor facilities such as gyms will have to close under the new restrictions.
So let's have a look at some of the front pages of the papers, and you can probably imagine that, dominated by one story this morning, the return of lockdown is the focus of every front page, including the Times. This is their front page this morning. They've been talking about the Prime Minister Boris Johnson announcing that everyone in England must stay at home except for the permitted reasons. The new restrictions are expected to last until the middle of next month.
Meanwhile, the Daily Mail declares it's back to square one after news of the latest lockdown. It describes the new measures as the most draconian since the spring.
One last push, declares The Sun on their front page. That's in reference to the Prime Minister's hope that the country is entering the last phase of the struggle. That was one of his quotes yesterday. The paper is estimating that 13 million people will be offered a vaccination by the 15th of February.
Trending on Twitter is a man whose name is synonymous, actually, with lockdown. It's Joe Wicks. This tweet from Peter Crouch... Do you know, I did think, where is Joe Wicks when you need him? This tweet from Peter Crouch has already got more than 50,000 likes. I hope Joe Wicks has stretched off, he says. Do you know what? Joe, everybody needs you this... He's needed this morning, isn't he?
He did say that he was ready to go next Monday. I also saw banana bread was trending last night because, you know, lots of people shared their pictures.
Just by chance, I happened to have bought some stuff to make banana bread last week. But anyway, just tell us how you're feeling as well this morning, because we understand, you know, there are big changes, aren't there? And just tell us how you are, and we'll talk about that later. Also, I'm just today going to try and find notes of optimism.
Is this the Christmas tree
This
thing?
is about Christmas trees. I know yours has gone, which is a terrible shame.
We all decided as a family just to get rid and move on.
I decided late last night that mine is staying for some time, but now I've found some justification.
Right.
So English Heritage is urging people to stop arguing over whether 12th night is of January the 5th or 6th. That argument, he's trying to put that aside, and instead keep up all their Christmas decorations until February. He says, basically, because that's what used to happen in the 17th century. It's an English tradition that sustained itself well into the 17th century, that they should stay till Candlemas, if not beyond, that decorations should be kept up. If you go to Catholic and High Anglican churches, to this day you will find the crib remaining in the place until Candlemas, as well as a fair amount of decorations. And English Heritage are going to keep their decorations up until February. And I'm going to try and see if my tree lasts from November till February.
They also used to throw their waste into the street in the 17th century, Louise. We don't do that today, do we?
Are you saying my Christmas tree is a waste?
Yes. Yeah, bring it back. Come on, let's throw our refuse into the streets.
Anyway, do join in that. I mean, obviously, there are much more important things to discuss, but if you want a little bit of discussion outside of lockdown... police have arrested a Scottish MP after she apologised for using public transport while infected with coronavirus. Margaret Ferrier has been charged with culpable and reckless conduct for travelling from Glasgow to London in September while awaiting the results of a Covid test, and then making the return train journey having tested positive. She was suspended by the SNP at Westminster but has refused to resign from Parliament.